Hey folks, Wrong Gamgee here. I just want to briefly announce that the Quick and Dirty RPG system is now available on DriveThruRPG for $4.99. That's almost a 40% price reduction from its original retail price of $8, which makes it easier for you to get a copy of my labor of love to the RPG hobby in your preferred devices. Also, don't forget to grab a copy of the Quick and Dirty character sheets and other profiles at a price of pay what you want. The links to both products are in the description. Now, onto the video. Greetings folks, this is Wrong Gamgee, and welcome to Quick and Dirty Roleplaying. This video is part 3 of my discussion of how the EZD6 tabletop role-playing game is maximized for playability. If you haven't seen the previous 2 videos on this topic, go check those out if you want to hear my analysis on the core mechanics, combat, and the rules for magic and miracles. Also, I wanted to make a correction from my previous video where I stated that it wasn't necessarily spelled out whether or not a pusher or shover dies at 0 strikes, since it stated that they would be taken out. In the pusher and shover sheet, however, under health, it says strikes until dead in parentheses. So there you go. When your health reaches 0 strikes, you're dead. So in this video, I'll talk about creating a pusher and shover, the player character. The steps presented for hero creation are as follows. 1. Choose your hero path, which is your character class. 2. Choose a species. 3. Choose inclinations. 3 for humans, 2 for other species. Inclinations are useful abilities and powers to further define your hero, like feats in D&D or traits in World of Darkness. 4. Create 2 aspects, or create them during gameplay. Aspects are player-created traits that are distinct from their hero path abilities or inclinations. 5. If you're a conjurer, choose a circle of sorcery, your spellcasting style. And 6. Choose equipment. Your weapon is chosen by you, and your armor is determined by your hero path. The rest of your gear can be selected or randomly determined by rolling on tables. So this is classic D&D character creation. However, since EZD6 character creation has the players making less choices than in D&D, such as no spell lists, using wealth levels instead of tracking exact currency, and randomizing gear determination, the group starts play quicker than in D&D. The areas where character creation would take the longest would be in choosing inclinations and writing down that information, well, all the information on the character sheet, since aspects can be determined during gameplay. Now for the hero paths, there are 9 of them. We have the warrior, the warden, the delver, the brute, the rascal, the conjurer, the friar, the skald, and the beastmaster. The warrior is the strong frontline fighter that wears heavy armor. Shield is optional, and is adept at sword and board, 2-handed weapon, and 2 weapon styles. I like how this saves the headaches of having to choose a particular fighting style by making them skilled in all 3. The warden is a scout sniper and a survivalist that wears medium armor. The delver is a prepared dungeon exploring specialist that is also skilled with melee or ranged weapons, has a diverse set of skills, and wears medium armor. The brute is a light armored wearing murder machine that is resistant to harmful magic and can stay standing in situations where others would have fallen. The rascal is an agility monkey that can gank surprised or occupied combatants. I get that rogue is played out, but when I hear rascal, I think of some boomer era codger scolding their redheaded grandson for messing up their garden. Come here, you little rascal! Anyways, the conjurer is the only spellcasting hero path of the bunch that comes in various flavors, such as a wielder of magical energy whips, a mobile howitzer, poison ivy from Batman, a bender from the Avatar cartoons, minus the martial arts, an illusionist via mental manipulation, a necromancer with a talking skull, Miss Cleo the fortune teller, a manipulator of shadows and darkness, or Beast Boy from Teen Titans. Honestly, there is a lot of variety there. I can easily see groups of composed solely of conjurers, with each one having a distinct circle of sorcery. The Friar is the medium armor-wearing instrument of their god, or gods, specializing in healing their allies by taking on their wounds and calling down holy light, good for their allies, bad for their enemies, very bad for undead and demons. They can also attempt, keyword, attempt, to call upon their gods to perform miracles. Whether or not they do so is up to the dice gods to decide. The Skald is the medium armor-wearing jack of all trades, traveling explorer, and studier of omens. While they can sing a tune and play an instrument, that's not their emphasis, and I like that, as I'm sick of the bard stereotype being pushed as a regular part of an adventuring party ensemble. Having an archetype that is a non-spellcasting knowledge seeker just makes more sense to me. The Beastmaster is, well, a Beastmaster. The name says it all. They're the quintessential animal friend that can talk to animals and has a trusty animal companion. They're also versed with either melee or ranged weapons, and they wear medium armor. I like the archetype diversity, and I appreciate that it doesn't attempt to wedge in an unarmed, ascetic martial artist just for the sake of it. Even then, making that kind of hero path is incredibly easy to do, as there are plenty of other hero paths to infer from with regards to their design. They each have 3 strikes of health, with the exception of the Brute's 5 strikes, which is part of their archetype. They wear armor iconic to their archetype, light, medium, or heavy. They have a boon for one or 2 activities iconic to their archetype, and 2 to 4 special abilities iconic to their archetype. So for our ascetic ass kicker, we can say that they have 3 strikes of health, they wear light armor and are quick on their feet, like the Rascal, and have a boon with martial arts and mental discipline-based tasks. As for their special abilities, they can treat their body as deadly as any weapon. They gain 1 karma whenever they succeed at a task that tests their mental discipline, and they can reroll twice when they use their hero die and choose the best result, to represent their mastery and tapping into their inner reserves. The species available in EZD6 are humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, and goblins. Each species has benefits unique to their ancestral traits. Humans, being adaptable, can pick a 3rd inclination, or a 4th, if they're a delver. Elves can see twice as far in dim light and are resistant to mind-altering magics. Dwarves can also see twice as far in dim light and are resistant to poison. Halflings, being small gutlins that they are, start with a healing potion and have an easier time of not getting hit by larger foes. Goblins can see twice as far in dim light and can jump in nearby cover or broken ground to avoid being attacked for their turn if they don't attack. This seems pretty meta to me, but it fits the theme of a conniving little greenie that has been popularized in fantasy fiction. These species mirror their classical counterparts in earlier editions of D&D. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Nothing. Okay. But through the EZD6 lens, which means that the information on them is shorter and more to the point, since ability scores and ability score modifiers and saving throws aren't a thing. It's just boons and extra species-based narrative permissions. Each pusher and shover starts with 2 inclinations, or 3 if you're a human or a delver, or 4 if you're a human delver. Inclinations are one way that the player can distinguish themselves from other characters with the same hero path as of the same hero path and species. Inclinations provide specific benefits that are either special permutations to their core rules, such as victory and failure, where you gain 2 karma for every failed roll, and or provide narrative justification to do something you couldn't normally do before, such as thaumaturgy, which grants you the power of minor telekinesis and minor illusions. If you want to multi-class in EZD6, inclinations are how you would achieve that effect. Each of the inclinations presented in EZD6 provide a cool gimmick, and none seem overpowered. My suggestion to expedite inclination selection would be to have a solid character concept in mind and select the inclinations that fit that character concept. It'd be a good idea to consult the rabble-rouser in this regard so that they can help you pick inclinations that best fit that character concept. Also, unless the group is well versed in EZD6, I would caution against creating inclinations whole cloth. Try to work with the inclinations available and, if need be, tweak an existing inclination to better suit a character concept. All this is up to the discretion of the rabble-rouser. Aspects allow characters to create traits for their characters, allow players to create traits for their characters that round them out more as people that inhabit a living world rather than just figurines on a battle map. Aspects are noted as single-line descriptions that describe a hero's history, a physical trait, or a mannerism. Aspects should avoid overlapping with hero path abilities or inclinations. Last but not least, aspects are not required to be determined in character creation and can come about through gameplay. This allows the players to reveal more of their character's background as the story develops without requiring the player to learn lots of lore about the setting beforehand. This also serves as a great tool for the rabble-rouser to suggest aspects that would tie in the heroes into the narrative in a more specific manner. Last but not least, mechanically speaking, whenever an aspect comes into play in a relevant manner and a dice roll is called for, you roll with a boon. So when it comes to gear selection, there is common gear and specialty gear. Common gear is more general purpose, while specialty gear is more specialized in what it does. Each gear type has 4 groups with 6 items under each group. Each player selects 1 piece of gear under each group or randomly gets a piece of gear with a D6 roll. Within each gear type, however, there's a graphic of a D4 and a D6 with D4 less than D6 following it, meaning you roll a D4 then you roll a D6. Now I'm wondering, is this supposed to mean that you roll a D4 to determine the group and then a D6 to determine the item in that group? I would assume so, but there's no indication as to how many times the player does this. Is it one time only, meaning that you only get 1 item per group? That you only get like 1 item not per group, per item type, such as 1 common item and 1 specialized item. I don't think that's the case, but it's not specifically spelled out. So if I were using this method of roll d4 to determine the group within the item type, and then roll d6 to determine the item within that group, I would have them do that 4 times so that they can get an equal amount of items as a character who selects their items individually. And whenever any item repeats, then they just reroll. As far as wealth is concerned, heroes start with a moderate wealth level. Now, wealth levels go from pauper to cash poor to moderate to wealthy to lordly wealth, all the way up to kingly wealth. Each wealth level describes what they can afford, and heroes are expected to fluctuate both frequently and vastly due to their own expenditures and the machinations of those aware of and covetous of their wealth. Remember, this is a game about adventure and drama, so the heroes should never sit on their laurels for too long, otherwise they'd retire. And that covers my examination and analysis on the character creation process, the hero paths and how they're composed, species selection, inclinations, aspects, gear, and wealth. I will cover rabble-rousing, monsters, and magic treasures in later videos. If you like or dislike anything in this video, please give it a like or dislike and leave a comment, keeping it respectful and relevant. Subscribe if you want to support my channel, and if you really want to support my endeavors, head over to my Patreon and become a member. The link is in the description. Until then, folks, take care and play to find out what happens.